Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and today I'm going to show you how to do turkey work. It's a fluffy, fuzzy embroidery stitch. Normally when I demonstrate embroidery stitches, I'm doing them in a hoop, and I like to stab, so that means I'm going down the top and then I'm working my hand underneath. I stab back and forth instead of always working from the top edge. But this stitch, turkey work, is one that I almost always use just on stuffed animals. Like this is a prototype for a little felt stuffed animal. And those, because they're already stuffed, you have to work it just from one side. So that's what I'm going to show you today. That's how I'm demonstrating it. I have a full 6 strands of embroidery thread in here. You want your work to be fluffy, so you want to have as many strands as possible in here. It's already a pretty labor-intensive stitch, so you want to get as many threads as possible in each stitch. You don't knot at the beginning of it. So here's what you do. It's very much working, we're going to be working 2 rows of back stitches right next to each other. They're going to be touching. So here's my first stitch. And I'm going to leave a little tail hanging. This is about how long I want my fluff to be, so I'm leaving that tail hanging. Now I'm going to do a back stitch that's going to secure that hanging tail and get me prepped for my next stitch. So I'm going to come back just a little bit behind where that stitch was, and I'm going to come up just a little bit on the far side of where this thread is coming out. So I'm going in right before my loose tail here, and I'm coming up just past where my working thread is coming out. And I'm going to pull that nice and secure. You don't want to pull hard on it, but you want to get that one set. So that's one of my back stitches. They're going to sit nice and flat on the surface. My other back stitches that are going to be worked in the row behind this one are going to be left with a loop on them. So I'm going to go in right here, and I'm going to come out just in front of where my working thread came out. So I'm going in where this tail came out, and I'm coming out just ahead of where this tail went in, and a little bit in front of it, a little bit in front of and down from my working thread here. And I'm going to pull that, but I'm not going to pull it tight. I'm going to leave this loop on it, and I'm going to pull it so that that loop is about as long as that thread tail was. Now I need to secure that loop. So I'm going to work another tight back stitch. I'm going to go in where my last back stitch ended, and I'm going to come out a little bit in front of, a little bit ahead of, as I'm working down this row, and behind, this row behind this stitch. So I'm kind of lined up with my loopy side. And I'm going to pull that through and down. And now this won't pull loose because it's secured with this flat back stitch that I did. So you alternate back and forth. You do a back stitch and a loopy stitch, and a back stitch and a loopy stitch. And you just keep alternating. So I'm going to go in now where this loop was coming out. And I'm going to come out a little bit ahead of where my working thread is. And I'm going to pull that so that it's roughly level with my last loop. It's not critical that you get those perfectly level. So I did a loopy stitch. My next one is a flat back stitch. So I'm going to go in at the end of my last one, and I'm going to come out a little bit ahead of my working thread there. And I'm going to pull that tight to secure it. So now I did a flat back stitch. Now I need to do a loopy one. So I'm going to do a loopy stitch and come out a little bit ahead of my working thread there. And this one I'm not pulling tight. I leave a loop. I'm going to do, that was a loop stitch, so now I'm doing another flat stitch. This is probably one of the more complicated stitches that I've demonstrated yet here at Shiny Happy World, and it's not one that I use very often, but you will get a texture with this that is unlike any other stitch that I know of. So I've got my loop there. Now I'm going to do another flat one to lock it in place. And now that was a flat one, so I'm going to do another loopy one. I'm just going to work till I get pretty close to the end of this length of thread. So this was supposed to be, see, I'm now talking while I'm doing my stitching and I'm losing track of whether I did a flat stitch or a loopy one. I think that was supposed to be a loopy one. Mm-hmm. So now I'm going to pull that tail out, do a flat stitch. Now I'm going to do a loopy one. And I think we'll stop. Well, I'll have to secure my last loopy one. So let me do a loopy one here. We'll do one last flat one. Now I'm going to pull that needle off. Now, in your embroidery work, it's very unlikely that you're just going to do one row of these. You would work another row of them in front of them and another row in front of that until you filled up as much space as you want to fill in. If this was a doll and I was giving it hair, I would work that back and forth all like a fill stitch all over the surface here until it's full of all of these little loops. And then what you do, usually, is go in and cut all of those loops. So then you have little tails, and what some people even do after that is work to unravel all of those tails. Separate out the little bit of twist that you have in your embroidery thread so that you have individual strands. I'm using the eye end of this needle right now. Some people use a little comb or a little ballpoint awl would work well for it, but the more you can unravel these, the fluffier your finished area will look. See, these are all unraveled, so you've got the individual 6 strands of thread for each of them. And then imagine that all filled in so that the whole area is just filled with fluffy, fluffy threads. So that's it. Turkey work is a fairly complicated stitch, not because the stitches themselves are complicated. You can do a back stitch and you can do a back stitch that leaves it kind of loopy and loose. The trick is that you have to remember which one you did last and kind of keep up with what you're doing and make sure that you're keeping them lined up. Although it is pretty forgiving. When I showed you just the one line of stitching, it's really easy to see if you've made a mistake. When it's just a mass and you've cut those loops and fluffed out all of your threads, that's going to hide a multitude of sins that might be hiding underneath your fringy, thready, fun part. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World. I'll see you next time.